Came home and my brother was having a nice hot shower. I said, "Yes, what's wrong? Your bike is not there." So he thought I was pulling his leg. I said, "No, I'm serious. Come on, hurry up. Let's go out." We went out. One bike was stolen.
Over the years, we've seen some great stories of brotherhood. Adding to that, today we uncover the story of two brothers whose adventures have crossed continents, and yet their story remains largely unheard of. After completing their masters in the UK, Sorab and Kersi Chinoy thought that the best way to arrive home would be to travel on their bikes from England to India. From having their motorcycles stolen in Germany to being mistaken for gang members and beaten up by the police in Turkey. Their stories and the 50-year-old film slides we uncovered give you a grungy insight into the golden era of overlanding. The hair, the beards, the cars, the clothes, it all screams Led Zeppelin, flower power and big engines. Watch it till the very end. So I'm with Sorab Chinoy. Sorab and his brother Kersi rode this Honda CB750F and another Honda CB750F down from Liverpool to
Bombay.
right? So this is his story. Acha, so where did this idea come about? Most people, if they liked a motorcycle, what they would do is they'd buy it, have it shipped to India, and fly back. So what was this whole? Where did this whole idea start about riding the bike back to Bombay?
When my brother was with me in Germany before he went to England, he was on training for dairy product manufacturing along with me for about 8-9 months. And then they stopped giving visas to foreigners, so my brother had to move on to England. At that time, the wonderful moments that we spent together, we used to chit chat, and I was about to start my final lap of academics in doing my master's in dairy technology. So we used to chat, after that, what? And I said, I'm not sticking around here. I'm going back home. And so, the way to go back home would be on a two-wheeler.
Okay.
So that was already implanted in our head. And so he said, whenever you go, you call me up. I'm coming. I said, you've just come, Casey. Take your time. Yeah, you do your thing. Afterwards, don't blame me that I came away halfway or whatever. He said, no, I'm coming. Fine. So I finished my master's. And at that moment, I was in Berlin. I came back and called up my brother. We had a long chat.
You came
He
back to
was-
Liverpool.
No. I came back from my university in Gelnhausen to my seat of residence was in Berlin. And so I called him up and said, this is it. I'm packing up now and sending a few things, small. I had hardly anything. Sending it some music equipment and things that we are fond of. Shipping it to Bombay. And I'm buying a BMW R76/6 was the latest model. Used to cost 7,200 Deutschmarks in those days. I said, I'm going back by road. So he said, no. I've just seen this latest 750F, which is out in the market. And let's compare the two bikes and then make a decision. So I said, okay, you do that. Whatever you like, we'll go for that. I had visited BMW factory. They gave me a right royal welcome. They were willing to fly their engineers down to Bombay. The only thing that we had to sign a bond saying we will allow them to completely strip the bike open, check every part for its wear and tear and so on. And we have to write the story as we go along, which they would publish in some magazine, and the technical details were for the factory. So I had agreed on that. But then my brother said, no, we scrap that idea. Let's just go for the 750. It's a much more reliable engine and this, that, and the other anyway. So we agreed and bought the two bikes. Casey was in Whitchurch, which is a small village close to Liverpool, 40 kilometers from there. So we bought the two bikes in Liverpool and started off. We packed up Casey's luggage, and just like gypsies with our big suitcases and all, we tied up two of them at the back of the bikes. Everybody was watching us, such super bikes and such crazy saman stored up at the back. And so we reached Berlin.
This was which year?
This was 76 January. And then we were corresponding with mom and dad, and mom just wrote back saying, listen, with all your over enthusiasm, if your bikes are not more than 3 months old in your possession, you will not be able to bring it under transfer of residence. They'll be confiscated. So we said, we'll spend a little time in Berlin, no problem. And unfortunately, one morning, as I went out for a walk on a snowy morning day and came back buying some bread for breakfast and so on, came home and my brother was having a nice hot shower. I said, Casey, what's wrong? Your bike is not there.
You saw only one bike, you mean?
Only one bike remained there. So he thought I was pulling his leg. I said, no, I'm serious. Come on, hurry up. Let's go out. We went out. One bike was stolen. We went to the police station and they were very nasty with us because we were foreigners. Like with so many foreigners in Berlin, these things are bound to happen. They were really horrible. But we made sure, whether they like it or not, we registered the police complaint because we needed the insurance. They were insured in England with Norwich Union, the green card insurance. And then they gave a paper notice and they've checked out. And after some, I don't know, 15 days, 1 month, the cops gave us a document saying your bike is not traceable. So with that, we made the claim on the insurance company. And then I said, Casey,
And both the bikes were
exactly one after the other. Serial number, engine number, registration number.
same color also.
No, he had selected same, sorry. The first two bikes were same color. Same color. So we had saved up money and we were going to go to Canada for the Olympics. And what we decided was we don't have unlimited funds. We'll cancel Olympics. This is a one-time decision. You can't do it again. Olympics, we can go later. So we used that money. My wife to be was already my girlfriend. We rode with her in her car to England. We went to London and near Kensington High, some high station, high bridge, whatever, some Kensington station, there was a Honda UK showroom. So we went and picked up two more bikes again. Yeah, two more bikes. The one which Casey liked better for whatever reason, we kept. And the other one we sold in Germany and made a little money and made up. The difference in the money value at that time was great and the pound had dropped. So it became much cheaper to buy the bike the second time. The second purchase was so much cheaper that it induced us to make up for our loss of funds. And then we started from Berlin on 23rd of April after an all-night party with all the friends in that building. And we were staying with my wife in her apartment. We had given up everything, packed up. And from Berlin, we made the second start. The first was from Liverpool. This start and three other German friends of ours, very close to us, motorcyclists. They came with us all the way till the Austrian border. From there, when we crossed at the passport office, literally till there, into Yugoslavia, that was the last goodbye to them.
This whole ride from Berlin to, how was it? How did the bikes feel?
Yeah.
The people you met along the way. I mean, the whole experience about motorcycling through Europe in the 70s.
Yeah. Motorcycling in Western Europe is like heaven. Every motorcyclist who passes the other, be it a small moped or a large bike, in those days at least, it was a culture where you just put out your V signature and pass by. Or stop if there's a problem, somebody has had a breakdown, and help immediately. And all over Europe, there are these motorcycle cafes where the guys come together every evening after work. You park there. Normally, it's a small locale which sells beer and some cheap snacks. So in Berlin, we used to go to a place called Athena Grill on the one of the main roads in Berlin. And you had to have a slice of pizza and a beer and it hardly cost 5 marks in those days. So one day we even went out, my brother and I, in lungis on the bikes. And but he was flabbergasted to see us in lungis. It was good fun. So we used to go up to these motorcycle cafes where all the motorcyclists would assemble in the evenings and make friends with people. And that's what we did till the last city in the south of Austria, Yugoslavia, Greece, and then we went to Turkey. In Turkey, we were cautioned by the truck drivers who used to go on, they used to call it the Magic Road. Some people called it the Silk Road also, but the Silk Road was more towards China. This was called the Magic Road from London to Tehran. So the truck drivers would be very friendly. We would be camping at the camping sites and bump into one another regularly. And there was also one Land Rover with two British guys and one girl, and they would be passing by. They made good friends with us, and we'd share a breakfast very often in the morning with them. So we keep running into one another, and there's a little community of people which is passing through this zone, and that's a great thing to experience.
The camaraderie, right?
Sorry?
The camaraderie, the camaraderie, the bonding.
Yeah, bonding.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody is a friend. Nobody is your enemy. Everybody is doing the same thing. So then they cautioned us that when you're in Turkey, you'll have different kinds of experiences. Be careful. They'll ask for money. They'll stop you for all sorts of things. You carry some foreign cigarettes, just give them a cigarette and run away. Don't stop for these guys. We said, fine. We went down to Istanbul, put up our tents in the camping site, and by then it was all. We started from Alexandropolis in Greece to Istanbul, which was a long stretch, and we did it in one day quickly, starting very early because we were cautioned by the French truckers, don't start late, start very early morning, 4, 5 or whatever. And then we reached there by about 6 in the evening, pitched up our tent, and then we went out to have a bite. So we went to the market, and we were told there's a pudding shop, you don't miss it. It's the great place where everybody meets there. A lot of Charsis also come around there. All the travelers always go there. It's a meeting place for these hippies, gypsies, whatever, and the travelers, everybody. So we didn't go to the pudding shop as yet. We just went to one of these ordinary, simple places where they serve Turkish food. We had food. I remember we had a Coke. We were very thirsty, very hungry. We had a nice stomach. Went out, back to our bikes. And whilst walking towards our bike, somebody tapped my shoulder. And I looked behind, and there was this guy who hardly measured up to my chin. And he starts talking to me in German. So I said, how come you're speaking German here in Turkey? So he said, well, I'm studying in Switzerland. Okay, fine. You don't speak English? No.
And you knew
So I
German.
said, of course, fluent. I had done my education. I was there for 5 years. I studied there also, worked there also. So we spoke to him. Then my brother also picked up in the 9 months that he was there. He picked up German very well. So we could communicate with him. So we said, do you guys have something like a motorcycle cafe, meeting place, etc.? Yes, yes, come along with me. So he plonked at the back of my bike, sat with me, and he drove us. And we came to some place where, if you're familiar with Pune, there's a Kolsa Gully, shady little place here in the middle of nowhere. You have all these things hanging out there, baskets and plastic mugs and buckets, and some chula repair wala is there, kaach wala is there, chavi wala is there. That kind of shady little lane where there was one shop there, where there was one motorcycle parked in the center. And there was just one little 0 watt ka bulb, you can say, with that shade on top, a very old type shade. And you could see on that twisted, dirty old wire that millions of flies have sat on it. They leave those dots over there. So it was not so unusual for us. I mean, we said, okay, it's a dirty place, it's a dirty place. And they were good enough to align our chain. But we also was doing it ourselves. But somehow, okay, they've offered, so fine. They offered us Coke, they offered us cigarettes, Turkish cigarettes. And all of a sudden, there were 9 of these Turks in that room from that one guy. And one guy was suited and booted just like this. If the bike was parked in the middle of this small 10 feet by 10 feet room, he sat on the bike and he was talking to us. And he was suited, booted, some fancy guy. There was a huge crowd outside where the bikes were parked, and there was a roadblock. Everybody was watching the bikes. And within minutes, 3 cops came with their guns pointing at us. They thought that there's some commotion. They were from the Interpol. The Interpol station was just in the next lane. We didn't know any of that. Anyway, they came and they spoke something in Turkish. We didn't know what they're talking about. The guy sitting on the bike sprung out. He shot 2 of the policemen. They were flat on the ground. And the third guy, he hit so badly with his head, the guy was spinning around. He got up and then he arrested all of us. The van came from the Interpol.
Who got up
The third police guy.
Acha.
Didn't let anybody go out. But this fellow who had a gun and shot these 2 policemen escaped and ran out.
Shot them dead?
No, they were injured badly. One was in the stomach, the other was in the knee. And the third one he hit with his head. The guy was dazed and he ran out. He bolted out. We were all arrested by the police. We were taken to the police station. and everybody was beaten up bad.
You also beaten up.
Yeah, we were the last two, my brother and myself, because Kersey had GB on his jacket,
Great
Great
Britain.
Britain. So they thought we have to be friendly towards these guys. And they offer us Turkish tea, number of rounds, while the others were all being badly beaten up. And then after those seven guys were done with, he came to us and he said, give your passport. So I said, my passport is given to the camping site. I had a receipt which I gave him. Then he came to my brother and Casey gave his. So he said, Indiski, I remember, Indiski was Indian. And they started all out. Three of them were beating us up. They beat the shit out of us. My brother and I both had swollen lips, black eyes, we were bleeding in the nose. And then after a good pasting, and they had these police shoes with these metal toes, the way they were kicking us, thank God we had our leathers on, we were less hurt. And we washed ourselves under one of these 8 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet metal old tanks which was leaking. So he said, you can wash yourself there and go into the van. So we had to wash in that dripping, leaky tank. We sat in the van. From the van, we were taken to the police station, main police station, where we were locked up in one small room. So we had to be locked up over there till the morning. In the morning, they opened the room and took us to the main city jail. And there we met one Sardar. And the guy was so happy to see us. He was locked up for 2 months already.
Oh, bapre.
Poor chap was just sitting in the pudding shop. He said he had run away from home. And he was sitting in the pudding shop waiting for some friend to come by or some Indian which he could latch on and do something. He wanted to go to Germany or England. And some foreigner came there and spoke to him in English. So he replied and he said, my friend will be coming. This is table number 6 or 7 or whatever. I've told him that there's an envelope waiting for you. You pick it up from there. In the meantime, the cops came there. There was a checkup and they found some material, white powder in this envelope and they picked me up and brought me here. I didn't know anything what was happening. So he wrote out a letter and said, in case you go out first, you give this letter to so-and-so, so-and-so, do this, that and the other.
Are
So
bapre.
we also wrote a letter and gave it to him that in case you go out before us, this is the telephone number of my parents and this is the telephone number of the place where I am known as a student and we are not into any of this mischievous stuff. So fortunately, at 4 in the afternoon, they called out my brother and me and we were taken to the court and they spoke something in Turkish, God knows what. After that, they put us in a car and took us to the Interpol station where our bikes were already taken and kept in custody. The guy spoke fluent English, very polished guy. So we asked him, what is all this commotion all about? And this is just not on. Just because we are from India, you just bash the shit out of us. Look at our state. He says, you can be damn lucky you're out within less than 24 hours and that you've been protected and your bikes are protected. This gangster who bolted out from the bike and shot our two police people is a known killer. There have been some 20, 25 bikes which have come in the last 1.5 years into the country. There is no trace of a single bike or the single person with that foreign passport which came into the country.
So
You
that
would have been shot dead, chopped into pieces and fed to the pigs.
little guy who
Yeah.
lured,
He
he
was a
lured
bloody
your,
gangster.
acha, he lured y'all in.
Yeah.
And the plan
Yeah,
was
the
to
plan was to get rid of us,
and take
take
your
the bikes. They dismantled the bikes overnight while they traveled towards Germany. And in Berlin, they sell the spare parts of these new bikes. And they
lucky
make a lot
escape.
of money in spare
Lucky
parts.
escape. So
So
those
this is,
cops,
yeah,
in fact, protected you all.
absolutely. But who knew that?
And then
But the most interesting thing was after we were left, we came back to the camping site and we said, well, now we're free. We were very hungry. We are not going out of the camping site. We'll eat in the restaurant, which is inside the site. So there was a gala evening. There was a Turkish belly dancer and whatnot. So we were sitting. The photographer was taking photographs of everybody. We didn't let that female come in the way of the photograph. We shoot her off. But we told this guy, okay, take a photograph. So he took a photo of my brother. And that's when we realized those quick, what are those cameras called? The
Polaroids.
Polaroid. When he showed it to us, we were shocked because I could see my brother, he could see me, but I couldn't see myself. Camping site, there was no mirror. So we said this we'll keep as a remembrance. So we took that photo, paid the fellow his
You
few
still have it?
rupees.
That photograph you still have?
Yeah, Farad has it,
Okay.
my nephew.
Okay. Okay. Huh.
And for a long time it was with my mother. Then Farad asked for the photo from my mother and he has it. And when we went to check out in the morning at the camping site, there was this guy at the reception who says, "You're in the news." So we said, "What news?" So he showed us the paper. It was called Turk-e-Hurayet. And it was all written in Turkish. And my brother and I, sitting in that first police station, smiling away, drinking their Turkish tea before we were bashed up. So we took a copy of that paper. That also is with my nephew Farhad. And well, then we carried on, and it was very strange. But these Interpol cops, whom we had recognized, 3, 4 of them followed us all through everywhere, maybe for safety's sake or for what, or to make sure that we were not into any kind of odd games. Up till Ankara.
Ankara.
Up till Ankara, they followed us. It was
From Istanbul to Ankara.
Yeah, very bad feeling. You sit to eat food, and the guys are there sitting and watching you. You go somewhere else, again you're sitting, they're watching you. But anyway, we couldn't give a shit. And then we were in Iran. In Iran, it was heaven. Heaven. The
This
roads
was the
were
time
so
of
good.
the Shah.
Sorry? The Shah was in power at that time.
And it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. The moment we reached Tabriz, we were sitting and having a meal there, and a guy on a motorcycle just came by, and well, he just told us, "Come along with us," and we went. God knows whether it was the second time we'll be imprisoned or not, but we went with him. Lovely experience. When we told them we are from India, we are Parsis, we are Zoroastrians, they used to freak out. Tell them Zartusti, it was a magic word. So we caught on to that. So wherever we went, we would tell them we are Zartusti, and we'd be very, very extra specially received. After the camping site at Tehran, we have not spent a single rupee to stay in a camping site or a hotel or wherever. Everywhere was on the house, kind courtesy, one or the other Iranian who's given their flat keys to us.
Really?
They also guided us how to go through and go up to Kuwait and take boat from there because Pakistan did not give us the visa.
What
in
happened with the
Tehran.
Pakistanis?
In Berlin, they promised us that you will get your visa in Tehran, but you have to reach there. We don't know if you really will reach there ever. So we said, fine. Sorry. When we reached the embassy in Tehran, they look at us sarcastically and say, yeah, you guys from India. Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. There's a conversation going on and we're improving our relations. You'll get your visa sometime around September, October or something. Just spend some time here. It was ridiculous. So we went to the university. We thought that we'll get good advice from educated people out there. We didn't know anybody in Tehran. We just made friends like good old times in Wadia College, Aravind, Xavier's College of Bombay. Go to the canteen and there are a lot of great guys there. So we went to the canteen in the uni
In Tehran.
in Tehran and just sat down for some chai, and all of us, people were asking us, what are you guys, where do you come from, what are you doing? We had our leathers, our helmets. So we made friends and we told them this is the situation. So one professor who was sitting on the table with us said, you don't worry. You go this way, Barak Shire. I will give you the key. You can stay in my flat. From there,
Without knowing you from Adams.
no,
Huh?
just there, that cup of tea. We said we are
Take your
Zartusti.
take my key.
Zartusti, that was the magic word.
Zartusti.
In fact, when we went to Ahvaz, which was before reaching Khorramshahr,
Avaz.
it was middle of the night and there was no place available. We had to try this out again. We said, we are Zartusti. Zartusti, oh. He immediately made beds for us in the lounge. And he said only one thing, before 6 o'clock you must vacate. There were no rooms available, nothing. He didn't take a penny. They gave us breakfast on the house and goodbye. We went further. Then we reached Bara Khorramshahr, then Bara Abedan. Again, there was this guy's cousin whose flat was
The
given to
professor's
us.
cousin.
Yeah. They were all one family. And they gave us one royal meal with their whole family and crockery and cutlery, which would make our hands shiver. We never used things like that. They must be real royal people. So then they did not give us, we would go to the Kuwait embassy in Wada Abedan and say we want a visa for Kuwait. They say you don't have a visa for Iraq. How will you go through? When we go to Iraq,
Iraq
they say,
or Iraq? You have to go to Iraq to go to Kuwait.
To Kuwait.
Okay.
So they would say, no, you get Iraq first. You go to Iraq, they say, what are you going to do in Iraq? What is the proof that you will go away from Iraq? So we said, we're going to Kuwait. So they said, where's your visa for Kuwait? We said, we don't have it. We'll get. So get that first, then we'll give you. This ding dong went on. So then I called up the guy whose flat it was. Very, I don't know what he was. I forget now. He was a higher up, some very well placed Iranian gentleman. So I said, they keep on sending us from one place to the other. It was embarrassing for us to stay in their place unlimited time. He said, what rubbish? I'll come with you. He came with us, put us in his car.
So he came
He
from
came
Iraq,
with
from
us.
Tehran. He came
No,
to.
no, to the embassy in Abidan.
Acha. But
This
from
was the
Tehran
second,
he came
second
from.
relative.
Acha, acha, acha.
Professor's cousin, and again their cousin in Abidan. We were staying in their flats.
Okay.
He came with us, then he had it out with these guys, and we got both the visas on that same day. And then we set off. We went to Iraq, and
You actually motorcycled through Iraq.
yeah. Listen to this one.
Baghdad?
No. Just that small stretch. I forget the name of that. It was from I, something from I. Look it up in the map and tell you. So we go to the border. There's one small kholi, like where you'd normally expect somebody to sell you some nariyal pani or something. And that was their border station. He takes out a rusted needle. He doesn't say anything to us, nothing. You have to put your thing up and he gives you a shot like you give it to the cows with a needle, rusted needle. And compulsory, otherwise you can't enter. So we took the shot.
Inoculation
Yeah.
with a rusted needle.
Yeah.
Bharat Chor.
Some dirty old box he opened, and anyway, we got that. Then we said, we go through that building on the other side and you go from here. So we said, go where? There's no road, nothing. It's all sand, all desert. Oh God. So he said, compass. In Syria, we have a compass. So he gave us some direction. You go this way and you will come to the city. It was a good 10-15 kilometers
Through the sand.
through the sand
On this motorcycle.
on the motorcycle. And we kept on going slowly, balancing ourselves with all the. We had tires, we had our tent, we had sleeping
You
bags.
had extra tires also.
Yeah, one set of tires we carried with us. You never know. You'll not
So,
not
so
get it.
basically on the bike you had 2 extra tires, each of you. So how did you carry all your luggage with you?
We had boxes mounted here on this stand.
Okay.
See, with the weight, this has broken. I welded it again. So there were 2 clips here, and the box was mounted here.
Okay.
On the box, inside the box were spare parts, a can of water, a can of petrol, spanners, parts, tire repair, puncture repair kit, and so on and so forth. And there was the box here. On top of the box were 2 tires wrapped around, strapped nicely. There was one sleeping bag, one tent packed up like that, and then I would sit here. And my brother had the same. That's it. This is how you go. And he shows us this direction. Fortunately for us, within maybe half an hour of our having left from that Kholi, a Chevrolet Impala is passing by, chauffeur driven, an American sitting behind and spinning their wheels with the sand, throwing the dust all over. And he was a sweet guy. He slowed down. He realized that he'd be putting us full into sand. Slowed down and he stopped and said, what are you guys doing here? We said, we're going towards this, whichever that city was. He says, on these bikes, are you crazy? He said, we have to reach home. We're going to India. This is it now. We are going through. He says, well, just give me all your luggage. We took off all the luggage, put it into his dicky. He said, now follow me. I'll drive 20, 30 feet on the other side. We'll go parallel but away, otherwise you'll be covered with the dust and sand. So very sweetly, he piloted us to the city, and from there it was goodbye. And then we passed. It hardly took 2-3 hours. It was a very small strip. And then we came to Kuwait. The Kuwait guy would not listen to you at all, that you've been already vaccinated in Iraq. He is compulsorily wants to give you one more shot. So, okay, Baba, give the other shot. And these were not sophisticated vaccines in those days. It used to bloody well hurt. And neither they were skilled doctors or anything. These were just guys guarding the post. We took that shot and went further. By then our tanks were getting empty. We had no money, and neither did we have a desire to exchange money in Iraq. and one tank load would take us through 90 miles. So we just went forward to Kuwait and we stopped at the petrol pump and like big shots, we tell them full tank. We were almost empty by then. And then we realized we don't have Kuwaiti money. Oh God. This fellow's fighting with us at the station where the guy's tanking. And then from the cabin of the petrol pump, one local Kuwaiti guy with those two bands and a very polished guy says, "Speak English." I said, "Yes, yes." And he come. So we went. He offered us tea. So what's the problem? He said, "We have just come in this way, this route, and we have not changed into Kuwaiti money. We've got dollars, we've got marks. Please take. You are my guest." He didn't take a penny. That was another amazing incident. We had a nice cup of tea with him, and then we carried on. And we went to the youth hostel in Kuwait. It was piping hot, piping hot. And we camped over there. We inquired about the next boat, and they said it'll take some 7 days. INS Akbar, its last voyage from Kuwait to Bombay, full of servants. It was known to carry food. So cheap as cheap can be. Immediately we booked 2 slots for ourselves. And then in the evening, my brother and I go for a walk along the we go for a walk along the shore, and far off we see 3 4 guys walking, and they look like some strange feeling. Telling Cassie is telling me, "Sara kaun cha hai chutia ho?" They look like some people we might be able to break friendship with or something. And who does it turn out to be? Our very own neighbor from Dadar, Sarosh Mistri. He was the captain of a ship which had parked over there to load their
Acha.
material. So that was so nice to meet him. Ultimately, we went on the ship. We stayed with him till the last day that our INS Akbar was to go. He was there longer. So we went with the ship, and then we reached port here on 7th of June, 7:30 in the morning.
7th of June, 1970.
76.
So 75 you started from there.
No, 75 we bought the bikes.
Acha.
15th of December we bought the bikes.
Okay. Okay. So it took you 6 months basically.
No, we traveled up to Berlin. We had to break journey there. We had to wait for 3 months. In between, Kersey's bike was stolen. Again, we went back. We had a restart.
So basically,
Again,
how
we
much?
spent 3 months in Berlin from February to April.
February 76.
Six.
And so April 76 you started, and June
We reached.
Acha. So not
We
not
traveled for 6-7 weeks.
Okay, all right. But what an adventure!
Yeah, it was great.
And then since that time you've had this bike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And your brother also has.
And since I had bought the music equipment on my name and transfer of residence, I had surpassed my quota. So I had to pay a heavy duty of 12,000 rupees in those days for this bike. And my brother had only few knickknacks. So he had not got the music equipment on his name. So he had a duty to pay 6,000 rupees,
Acha.
which was a lot of money in those days.
Along the route, any breakdown as such?
Not a single one.
Not punctures?
Not a single. Punctures, yes. In one spot in Turkey, we were riding in the night to reach Ankara. And Casey overtook some guy. I was behind him. And I overtook. Where I overtook, there was a huge pothole. And I damaged my front rim. It lost its shape. I still have that rim with me. I had to buy a new rim in Tehran.
Acha.
Till Tehran, I had to go tuck relatively.
Really?
Yeah. I got a new rim in Tehran, and the front rim is from Tehran.
So it's still the same rim that you bought in Tehran 50 years ago?
Yeah. And this is the original one.
And they're shining?
I've had it chromed in between.
Acha.
So we rode down from England through to Holland, Belgium, West Germany, East Germany, West Berlin, then again the restart from there, West Berlin, East Germany, West Germany, then Austria, Yugoslavia, Greece, Turkey, Iran. We were supposed to go through Afghanistan, but Iran refused to give us the visa.
Pakistan.
So
Pakistan refused to give you.
through Pakistan, sorry. They refused to give us a visa. So we went down south with some great advice from professors from the University of Tehran who was so hospitable towards us. So we went down from there south, Awaz, Bade Abadan, Bade Khorramshahr, then Izmir in Iraq.
Izmir in Turkey.
No, Turkey, sorry, what was the border? Irfan, something from I.
FSN? No.
A very short trip, it took just a few hours. We went through that anyway, south of Iraq. Then we went into Kuwait, and from Kuwait we took a ship back to Bombay.
Okay. So and you still ride this bike?
Yeah.
Acha.
Not on a daily basis,
But you still.
fun basis whenever we ride out. My cousins have bikes.
Acha.
One of them
So
expired.
you're still a motorcyclist?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Most welcome.
Okay.